Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Cosmos channel. Tonight there is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to finish, no thought you need to chase down and resolve before the day is allowed to close. There is only this place where you are lying, and the slow weight of your own body settling into it, and a single wondering we are going to drift through together, turning it over slowly, the way you might turn a smooth stone in your palm, until your eyes grow heavy, and the question and the answer both dissolve into rest. Here is the wondering. What sits at the very top of the universe? It is such a natural thing to ask. We are creatures of floors and ceilings, of hilltops and the sky above them, of stairs that climb to a final landing. So the mind reaches upward and expects to find a lid, a roof, a highest shelf where the cosmos finally stops and something rests at the summit of everything. And yet, as we will discover, the universe offers no such place. Every up you can imagine simply opens into more openness. Every ceiling you reach for turns out to be another doorway into more room. There is no top, no last rung, no final height, and tonight, instead of that being a frightening thing, we are going to let it become one of the most restful truths there is. We are going to drift through four wonderings inside the larger one. We will wonder what up even means in a place with no ground beneath it. We will wonder about the horizon of the part of the cosmos we can see, and why it travels with you wherever you stand. We will wonder about a universe with no center and no edge, a place that is the same in every direction you could ever turn. And we will wonder about expansion, about the slow swelling of space itself, and the tender way it lets every direction melt into every other, until the word top has nowhere left to point. If you find this place restful, a like or a subscribe quietly helps the channel reach others who are also lying awake tonight, also looking for somewhere soft to set their thoughts down. That is all. You do not need to remember any of it. None of this is anything you need to hold on to, nothing to memorize, nothing to keep. Let the facts be like warm water moving past you. Settle in now. Let your shoulders ease down away from your ears. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands grow heavy. Let the back of your head sink a little deeper into where it rests. Breathe in slowly, and let it out even more slowly than that. Let's begin. Let us start with the smallest word in our wondering, the word that seems so obvious it hardly needs explaining, and yet hides the whole mystery inside it. The word is up. You have known up your entire life. Up is where the ceiling is. Up is the direction the smoke rises, the way the balloon tugs, the place the lark climbs into on a summer morning. Up is where you look when you lift your face to feel the sun. It feels like one of the oldest and surest facts in the world, as fixed as anything you know. And here is the first tender surprise of the night. Up is not a property of the universe at all. Up is a property of you, and of the ground you happen to be standing on. Up is simply the opposite of the direction the earth is pulling you. That is the whole of it. The earth, vast and patient beneath your bed, reaches up through the floor, and through the mattress, and through the long quiet of your bones, and it draws every part of you toward its center. And the direction away from that pull, the direction your weight is not falling in, is the one you have always called up. So consider, slowly, what this means. A person standing in a city far across the sea from you, on the other curve of the world, also has an up. They also lift their face to their own sky and call it up. And yet, their up points the opposite way from yours. If you could draw a line from their head straight out into space, and a line from your head straight out into space, those two lines would lean away from one another, spreading apart like the spokes of a wheel. Their ceiling is, in a sense, your floor's far direction. Neither of you is upside down. Neither of you is right and the other wrong. There simply is no single up that the whole world agrees on. Only millions of little personal ups, each one leaning quietly away from the center of the planet, each one true for the person who feels it. The up you trust so completely is a local arrangement, a private agreement between you and the rock you live upon. And now let the rock fall away. Imagine, without any alarm, that the earth is no longer beneath you, that you are resting somewhere out among the stars where nothing pulls on you from any particular side. Which way is up now? You turn your head, and the stars are scattered in every direction, above and below and behind. Though those words have quietly lost their grip, there is no floor to fall toward, so there is no ceiling to rise away from. Up has not moved somewhere else. Up has simply ceased to exist. It was never out there in the cosmos waiting to be found. It was only ever the shadow that gravity cast, and where there is no single source of pull, the shadow has nothing to fall across. This is the first small loosening of the night, the first thread of our larger wondering. The very direction in which you were looking for a top turns out to be a direction that only the ground gives you. Lift away from the ground, and the top you were climbing toward was never above you at all. You can feel something of this even now. Lying here, the weight you feel is the earth holding you, not pressing you down so much as keeping you, the way a hand keeps a sleeping bird. And the lightness you feel in your thoughts as they begin to wander is a little like that floating, a little like the moment the floor lets go. There is nothing to fear in a world without up. A bird in the open air does not worry which way is up. It simply rides what holds it. Tonight, you can do the same. Let the idea settle that the top of the universe is not waiting at the end of some long climb above your head, because the climb itself was only ever a story the ground was telling you. Rest into that. We have a long, easy night ahead, and we have only just begun to wonder. So if there is no up out among the stars, perhaps the top of the universe is not a height at all, but a distance, an outermost place far away in some direction, a furthest shore where the cosmos finally runs out. Let us drift toward that idea now and see what we find, because it leads us to one of the loveliest facts in all of astronomy, and one of the most comforting things you can carry into sleep. When you look out into the night sky, you are not only looking across space, you are looking back across time. Light is swift beyond imagining, and yet it is not infinitely swift. It takes its own slow journey to reach you. The light from the moon left it a little over a second ago. The light from the sun left it about 8 minutes ago. So the sunset you remember was already old news by the time it touched your eyes. The light from the nearest star beyond the sun has been traveling for more than 4 years, and the further out you gaze, the deeper into the past you are peering, until you are seeing stars as they were before there was anyone here to look up at them at all. Because light takes time to arrive, there is a limit to how far out you can see, not because the universe stops there, but because beyond that distance, the light simply has not had enough time to reach you yet. The universe has an age, a number of years it has existed, and light from anything further away than light could travel in that span has not yet arrived. This boundary is called the horizon of the observable universe, and it wraps around you like the rim of a vast, faint bowl. Everything inside it you can, in principle, see. Everything beyond it remains, for now, out of view, not gone, not absent. simply too far for its light to have crossed the distance in the time the cosmos has had. Now here is the tender part, the part to let yourself sink into. That horizon is not a wall standing at the edge of the universe. It is a horizon that belongs to you, centered on you. The way the horizon at sea is always centered on the ship you are standing upon. Sail east and the horizon at sea moves east with you. The far line never gets any closer, because it is not a place. It is only the limit of how far your eye can reach from where you happen to be. The cosmic horizon is the same. A person on a world unthinkably distant from you has their own horizon, their own vast faint bowl, centered on them, reaching out into regions you will never see and showing them stars you will never know. Their bowl and your bowl overlap a little, and then drift apart. There is no single edge that everyone shares, no one true rim where the cosmos ends. There are only countless horizons, one for every place a watcher might stand, each one a private circle of visible sky, each one with that watcher resting peacefully at its center. So the outermost place you were reaching for, the furthest shore, turns out to behave just like the up we let go of a moment ago. It is not a feature of the cosmos. It is a feature of where you are looking from. Walk in any direction for 1,000 years, and you would not arrive at the edge. You would simply carry your own horizon along with you, the visible world rearranging itself around you as you go. New things rising into view ahead, while old things slip below the rim behind. This is our thread again, returning in a new form. The top of the universe, the edge of it, the furthest place, each one keeps stepping back as you approach, not because it is fleeing from you, but because it was never a fixed point to begin with. It is a little like asking what lies north of the North Pole. You stand at the very top of the earth, and you ask which way is further north, and the question quietly comes apart in your hands, because every direction from there leads south. There is no fault in the asking. It is only that the place you were pointing toward dissolves the moment you arrive and leaves you standing in more world than you knew, with room in every direction to rest. Let that settle over you like a blanket drawn up to the chin. You are at the center of your own observable universe right now, this very moment, lying here in the dark. Everything you could ever see curves out around you in a great calm sphere, and you are exactly in the middle of it, exactly where you belong. You do not have to travel to the edge. There is no edge to travel to. You are already home, already centered, already held inside a bowl of ancient light that has been crossing the dark for ages just to arrive, softly, here at you. But wait, you might think, drifting now, half dreaming, if I am at the center of everything I can see, then surely I am at the center of the universe itself, and surely the center is a kind of top, the most important place, the seat at the head of the table. It is a natural thought, and it is one that human beings believed for a very long time. So let us wonder about it slowly, because the truth here is one of the most peaceful ideas in all of science, and once you feel it, a great deal of the weight you might carry about your own smallness simply lifts away. The truth is this: every single watcher, on every world, in every corner of the cosmos, sees themselves at the center of their visible universe, exactly as you do. And they are all correct. And so are you. And because everyone is at the center, no one is, which is another way of saying that the universe has no center at all. Picture it like this, easily, without strain. Imagine a loaf of bread studded all through with raisins, set to rise in a warm kitchen. As the dough swells, every raisin drifts away from every other raisin. If you were a raisin somewhere in the middle of the loaf, you would see all the other raisins moving away from you in every direction, and you might decide you must be at the very center of the rising. But choose any other raisin, anywhere in the loaf, even one near the crust, and that raisin sees exactly the same thing, every other raisin retreating from it on all sides. Each raisin believes itself central, and not one of them is wrong about what it sees. And yet there is no special raisin, no chosen raisin, no raisin that the whole loaf is arranged around. There is only the dough, swelling everywhere at once, with no middle to its swelling. The cosmos is the dough. The galaxies are the raisins. And you, lying here, are a watcher upon one peaceful grain in a loaf that is rising in every direction with no center to it anywhere. This is so different from how we usually imagine an explosion or a beginning. When we picture the birth of the universe, we tend to imagine a single point somewhere in empty space, a bright spark that flung matter outward into a waiting void, and we imagine that if we could only fly back to that point, we would find the true middle of it all, the spot where it all began. But that picture has a mistake hidden in it. The beginning did not happen at a point inside space. The beginning happened everywhere in space at once, because in that first moment, all of space was gathered together, and there was no outside for it to expand into. Space itself has been stretching ever since, carrying everything along within it. So the place where the universe began is not somewhere far away that you could point toward. The place where the universe began is here. It is also there, and every there you could ever name. The beginning is under your bed and behind the furthest star alike, because every point in the cosmos was once the same point. You are resting in the embers of the beginning. So is everyone. There is no privileged seat, and so there is no seat that is higher than the rest. Feel how the question of a top keeps softening as we turn it. We looked for a top above us, and found that up belongs to the ground. We looked for a top at the furthest edge, and found that the edge belongs to the watcher. Now we look for a top at the center, the seat of honor. And we find that the center is everywhere, and therefore nowhere. That you are at the middle of all you can see, and so is every other living thing. And that there is no contest between you, no hierarchy of places, no grand staircase of locations, with the best one at the summit. The cosmos is not built like a tower with a penthouse at the top. It is built like the rising dough, even and unhurried and the same all through, with no floor that is lowlier and no floor that is finer, only the one warm spreading everywhere alike. There is a kindness in this that is easy to miss. We spend so much of our waking lives measuring ourselves against the middle of things, wondering whether we are near enough to the center, whether we matter, whether we are in the right place. And the universe, in its vast even way, answers that you are exactly as central as anything that exists, which is to say you are the center of everything you can perceive, and so is the smallest insect, and so is the most distant sun, and none of you is more central than the others, and none of you is less. You do not have to climb toward the middle. You are already standing in it. You were never anywhere else. So you can let the striving go now, the long habit of reaching for a better place, and let yourself rest exactly where you are, at the unhurried center of a universe that has no center, perfectly placed, because every place is the same tender home. Now there is a question that often rises in the mind right about here, in that drowsy, half-lit place between wondering and dreaming, and it is worth meeting head-on, slowly, so it can lie down beside you instead of keeping you up. The question is this: if the universe has no center, and if the top is not above and not at the edge, well then, what is at the edge? If I could travel far enough in one direction, what would I find at the very rim, the last place, the final wall? And what, the mind insists, would be on the other side of that wall? This is the oldest worry about the cosmos, and it has troubled thoughtful people for thousands of years. An ancient hand once imagined a soldier walking to the edge of the world and hurling a spear outward, and asked, where does the spear go? Either it strikes something, in which case there is more world beyond the edge, or it flies onward into open space, in which case the edge was not really an edge at all. Either way, the wall seems to dissolve the moment you push against it. The resolution the cosmos offers is so quiet and so elegant that it can take a little while to feel it. But once you do, it is enormously restful. The universe may have no edge, not because it goes on forever in a straight line, and not because there is a wall, but because it can curve back through itself the way the surface of the earth does. Think of an ant walking on the surface of an apple. The ant can walk and walk in any direction it likes, and it will never come to the edge of the apple, never reach a cliff where the surface stops and falls away. There is no edge to the surface of the apple, and yet the surface is not infinite. It is finite, a definite size, and yet without boundary, because it curves around and rejoins itself. The ant could circle the whole apple and arrive back where it started, without ever once turning around. To that small traveler, the surface has no rim, no center, no top, only more surface, smoothly continuing wherever it chooses to go. The cosmos may be like that ant's apple, except in more dimensions than our eyes can picture, and that is perfectly all right, because you do not need to picture it to rest in it. You only need the feeling of it, that to look for the edge of the universe might be like looking for the edge of the surface of a sphere, a search that never ends, not because the distance is endless, but because the path keeps curving home, returning you tenderly to more of the same open room. Or, if the cosmos is not curved that way, it may instead simply continue without limit. More space, giving onto more space, giving onto more space, never thinning, never stopping, always more. And here is the beautiful thing for a night like this one. In either case, there is no wall. In either case, the spear flies on. In either case, you may travel as far as you wish and find only more world to be in. Never a barricade, never a locked door, never a place where you are told there is nothing further and you must turn back. The universe does not hem you in. It opens and opens and keeps opening. So this is our thread once more, wearing the shape of an edge this time. The top of the universe was supposed to be the highest place. We found there is no highest. The edge was supposed to be the last place. We find there is no last. To stand at the rim of the cosmos and ask what lies beyond is, once again, like standing at the North Pole and asking which way is further north. The ground beneath the question simply curves the question away. There is no scolding in this, no trick, no cruelty. It is only that the cosmos is so generous with room that the very idea of running out of it cannot find anywhere to stand. Wherever you go, there is more. Whatever direction you face, the door is open. And tonight you do not even have to go anywhere to feel held by that openness. You can lie completely still and let it hold you. This boundless room that never once threatens to enclose you. This house with no walls and no roof and no cold beyond its windows, because it is windows all the way out and warmth all the way through. Let your breathing slow to match the size of that thought. There is nowhere the universe is going to stop you, nowhere it is going to corner you, nowhere it is going to set you down hard against a limit. You can let the muscles around your eyes go loose. You can let the small clench in your chest, the one that has been bracing all day against some edge or other, simply open its hand. There is no edge. There never was. There is only more room to rest into, in every direction at once. We have spoken a few times now of the universe stretching, of space swelling like rising dough, and it is worth slowing down here to feel what that really means. Because the expansion of the cosmos is the very thing that takes our last firm sense of direction and lets it melt, tenderly, into openness. We are used to things moving through space. A bird crosses the sky, a leaf drifts down a stream, a ship sails from one shore toward another. In all of these, the space stays put, and the thing travels across it. But the expansion of the universe is not like that. The galaxies are not, for the most part, racing outward through a space that holds still around them. Instead, the space between the galaxies is itself growing, new room quietly appearing everywhere at once, so that the galaxies are carried apart the way two marks drawn on a balloon are carried apart as the balloon is filled. Not because the marks crawl across the rubber, but because the rubber itself stretches beneath them. Sit with that balloon for a moment, because it holds the whole idea in a single, easy picture. Imagine little dots inked all over the surface of a balloon, and imagine the balloon slowly inflating. Pick any dot you like and pretend you are standing on it. Every other dot moves away from you. The near dots drift off slowly, the far dots, with more stretching rubber between you and them, rush away faster. And it does not matter which dot you chose to stand on. Every dot sees the same thing. Every dot watches the others flee. Every dot feels itself to be the still point around which the swelling happens. There is no dot at the center of the balloon's surface, and there is no dot at its edge. And yet every dot is being carried away from every other. This is exactly what astronomers see when they look out at the galaxies, nearly all of them drifting away from us, the farther ones receding faster, in every direction we look, with the same pattern a watcher on any of those galaxies would see looking back at us. The whole cosmos is the surface of that swelling balloon, and we are one peaceful dot upon it, neither chasing nor being chased, simply carried. And here is where direction itself begins to dissolve, which is the heart of tonight's wondering. Because if space is growing everywhere, then over the vastest distances the growing of space can carry things apart faster than light could ever cross the widening gap between them. This is not a thing moving through space faster than light, which cannot happen. It is space itself unfurling, which has no such limit. And it means that the very far reaches, the galaxies near the rim of what we can see, are being carried beyond our horizon, slipping past the edge of the visible, not by fleeing from us, but by the simple swelling of the room between. The cosmos we can see is, in the longest sense, drawing inward toward us even as everything within it spreads apart, the visible part growing lonelier and more luminous and more our own as the ages pass. There is no direction you could fly to catch the things that pass beyond the rim, because the rim is not a place, and the going is not a journey through space. It is space itself, doing what space does, opening. So consider what this does to the idea of a top, a highest direction, a way that leads up and out of the cosmos. Up dissolved into the ground, the edge dissolved into the horizon, the center dissolved into everywhere. And now the very notion that there is a particular direction that leads outward, beyond, away from it all, that dissolves too, because there is no outward. The expansion is not the universe rushing into some larger emptiness that surrounds it. There is no larger emptiness. The expansion is the inside getting roomier, with no outside for it to grow into. To ask which direction leads out of the universe is to ask the North Pole question once again. In its purest form, you turn and turn, and every way you face leads only deeper into more of the same warm, swelling room. The top, the out, the beyond, they are not far away. They are simply directions that do not exist, the way the direction further north than north does not exist. And a direction that does not exist cannot loom over you, cannot weigh on you, cannot ask anything of you at all. Let that be a relief tonight, rather than a riddle. You will not be carried out of the world while you sleep. There is no out. You are sewn into a cosmos that only opens, never expels, and the same slow swelling that carries the far galaxies beyond sight is carrying you too, ever so faintly, in the most patient drift there is, a drift so vast and so even that you feel nothing of it at all. Only stillness, only the bed beneath you, only the breath going slowly in and slowly out, while the whole tender universe widens, unhurried, all around. It can be soothing, in the small hours, to remember that no one was born knowing any of this, that every quiet truth we have been turning over tonight was once a complete mystery, and that human beings found their way to it slowly, patiently. One careful look at a time, over many lifetimes. So let us drift now through a little of that history, not as a list of names to remember, but as a kind of lullaby of looking. The long, unhurried story of how our ancestors learned that they were not at the top of anything, and how that learning, which might have felt like a loss, turned out to be a homecoming. For most of human history, people quite reasonably believed the earth sat at the center of everything, and that the heavens turned around it in great nested shells, with the earth low and heavy at the bottom, and the realm of the stars high and perfect at the top. The cosmos had a clear up and a clear down, a basement and an attic, and we lived, it was thought, in the cellar of it all. Then, a little less than 5 centuries ago, a careful and rather cautious man named Copernicus, who studied the wandering of the planets across the night, suggested something that unsettled the whole arrangement. He proposed that the Earth was not the still center after all, but one of several worlds circling the sun. It was a quiet idea, written down carefully, published as he lay dying, and it gently pulled the Earth out of the basement and set it adrift among the planets. The center we had always assumed was ours turned out not to be ours, and that was the first loosening. The first time the cosmos whispered that there might be no fixed seat at the bottom or the top, only worlds turning around one another in the open. The whispering went on for centuries, each generation of watchers pushing the horizon outward. The sun, it was learned, was not the center either, but one star among a vast wheel of stars we call the galaxy, set well out toward the rim, turning slowly around a distant hub. And then, less than 100 years ago, a watcher named Hubble, peering through one of the great telescopes of his day at faint smudges of light that others had thought were clouds within our own galaxy, realized that they were not clouds at all. They were other galaxies, whole islands of countless stars, unthinkably far away, scattered through a cosmos so much larger than anyone had dared to imagine that the mind simply went quiet before it. And studying the light from those distant islands, he noticed something stranger still. Their light was stretched, reddened. in a way that told him they were nearly all moving away from us, and the farther ones moving away faster. This was the first direct sign that the whole universe was expanding, that the dough was rising, that the balloon was filling. The cosmos was not an eternal still room, but a swelling, living, growing thing, and we were one small dot upon it, carried along like all the rest. And then came perhaps the most tender discovery of all, the one that speaks most directly to our wondering about a top and an edge and a center. In the middle of the last century, two careful listeners working with a large antenna kept hearing a faint hiss, a low static they could not get rid of no matter how they cleaned and checked their instrument. It came from no city, no machine, no single star. It came from everywhere in the sky at once, evenly. From every direction they pointed the antenna. What they were hearing, it turned out, was the afterglow of the beginning itself, the warmth left over from when the whole universe was young and dense and glowing, now stretched and cooled by all the ages of expansion into a faint whisper of light that fills all of space. We call it the cosmic microwave background, and it is, in a sense, the oldest light there is, the light from the embers of the dawn. And the most beautiful thing about it, the thing that took our breath away once we measured it carefully, is how astonishingly even it is. Whichever way we turn, in every direction across the whole sky, that ancient glow is almost exactly the same temperature, the same brightness, the same faint warmth, up, down, left, right, toward this far galaxy or that one. The cosmos answers with the same quiet light. There is no hot direction and no cold direction. There is no direction that the beginning favored. The afterglow of creation is smooth as still water, the same all around. This evenness has a name. The watchers call it isotropy, which means simply the same in every direction. And it is the deepest reason we can say with confidence that the universe has no top, no special axis, no chosen way. If there were a true up to the cosmos, some grand direction that mattered more than the others, we would expect to find it written into that oldest light, a warmer pole, a brighter axis, a seam in the sky. But there is none. The ancient glow is the same whichever way we lean, to a precision so fine it humbles every instrument we build. The universe, as far as our most careful looking can tell, plays no favorites among directions. And so the long history of human discovery, which began by pulling us out of the center and might have left us feeling lost, ends instead in a kind of peace. We are not at the top. And there is no top, and the cosmos is the same warm, even glow whichever way we turn our faces. We were never in the basement. There was never an attic. There is only the one bright room, the same all through, and we are home in it, exactly as much as anything is. Let us set the facts down for a little while now, and simply drift. You have been so good at thinking. Let the thinking rest, and let the feeling take over. Because there is a sensation hidden inside everything we have been saying, and it is one of the most comforting feelings there is. You are being carried. Right now, this very moment, without lifting a finger, you are being carried through the cosmos in more ways than you could ever count. And every one of those motions is so smooth, so unhurried, so perfectly even, that you feel none of it at all. Let me name them slowly, one by one, and let each one rock you a little deeper down. You are turning. The earth beneath your bed is spinning, and you are spinning with it, around and around, more than 1,000 of your own paces every heartbeat where the planet is widest, carrying you from the dark side of the world toward the dawn and back again into night. You do not feel it, because the turning is so steady and so old that your body has known nothing else. You have been spinning since before you were born. You are not falling off. The same hold that gives you your weight keeps you fixed to the turning world as surely as a sleeping child is kept in a parent's arms while they pace a slow circle in a darkened room. Feel that turning now, not as motion, but as being held, being walked in a wide, slow circle through the dark toward the morning. And you are flying. The whole earth, with you upon it, is racing around the sun, a great patient loop that takes a year to complete, carrying you many miles every second through the long dark, so swiftly that the fastest thing you have ever ridden is slower than a crawl beside it. And yet, you feel nothing, because the path is so smooth and the curve so vast that it is, to your body, indistinguishable from rest. You are not gripping anything. You do not have to hold on. You are simply carried in a circle wider than you can imagine, once around the fire each year, as you have been carried every year you have been alive. And the sun is not still either. The sun, with all its planets, with you, is sweeping in a great, slow arc around the heart of our galaxy, a circuit so enormous that it has not finished even one full turn since the first creatures crawled from the ancient seas. You are riding that arc tonight, carried through the wheeling stars at a speed that would steal your breath if you could feel it, and you feel nothing. Only the bed, only the dark, only the slow tide of your own breathing. And the galaxy itself drifts, carried among its neighbors, all of them swimming together through the swelling cosmos, the whole great raft of stars borne along on the rising of space. Layer upon layer upon layer of motion, each one wrapped inside the next like the slow gears of some vast and tender clock. And you at the still small heart of all of it, feeling none of the speed, only the being carried. So let yourself be carried now, on purpose, the way you have been carried all along without knowing. Imagine you let go of the bed ever so easily, and the bed lets go of you, and you begin to drift upward, though up has lost its meaning, so let us say you begin to drift outward, away from the floor, into the open dark. There is no falling, because there is no down to fall toward. There is only the slow, weightless moving through a space that holds you the way warm water holds a floating body. The stars are scattered all around you, near and far, above and below those words have dissolved, and you turn slowly among them, with nothing pressing on you anywhere, no weight on your chest, no ache in your limbs, no edge to bump against, no top to climb toward, only the endless tender room and your own breath rising and falling in it. You drift past the moon, pale and silent, and it does not pull you off your course. You drift out past the orbits of the planets, those great slow circles drawn in the dark, and no wall stops you, no rope holds you back. You drift among the nearer stars, each one a sun, each one possibly warming worlds of its own, where perhaps some other watcher lies awake and wonders about the top of the universe too. You drift, and the drifting never has to end, because there is nowhere it is taking you that is better than where you already are, and there is no edge it could carry you over. You are not going up, and you are not going out, because there is no up and no out. You are only being held and moved, the way the tide holds and moves a quiet body floating in the shallows under a warm night sky. Let the drift carry you. You do not steer it. You do not have to. You only have to let yourself be carried, the way you have been carried, unfeeling and safe. Every single night of your life, Now, sometimes when people contemplate the size of the cosmos, a small cold feeling can creep in, the worry that if the universe is so vast, with no top and no edge and no center, then we must be unbearably small, lost specks in an indifferent immensity. I want to spend a little while turning that worry over very slowly, because I think it points the wrong way. And I think the truth of our size is one of the most comforting things you could carry down into sleep. The universe is indeed beyond all imagining large. But largeness is not the same as coldness, and smallness is not the same as insignificance. And being one quiet part of something enormous is, when you really feel it, far closer to belonging than to being lost. Consider how scale actually works, slowly, with no rush. You are far larger than an atom, larger by as many steps as the cosmos is larger than you, and yet you do not look upon the atoms that make up your hand and think them meaningless, lost specks in the vastness of your palm. They are not lost. They are exactly where they belong, doing exactly what they do, and together, in their countless billions, they are you. You are not diminished by being made of small things, and the small things are not diminished by being part of something larger. The same is true of you within the cosmos. You are one of the small things of which the universe is made, and you are exactly where you belong, doing exactly what only you can do, which tonight is simply to rest. The vastness does not look down on you. The vastness is partly made of you. Without the small parts, there is no whole, and you are one of the small parts, woven in, belonging, held. And think of where your body comes from, because this is true and not a comfort merely invented for a sleepless hour. The iron that rides in your blood, the calcium standing in your bones, the carbon laced through every living cell of you, none of it was made on Earth. It was forged in the hearts of stars, long ago, in suns that lived and grew old and died before our sun was born, scattering their substance out across the dark when they came to their ends. That scattered stuff drifted for ages, gathered slowly, became the cloud that became our sun and our world, and in time, became you. So you are not a stranger to the cosmos, peering out at it from the outside, small and excluded. You are the cosmos, gathered for a little while into a shape that can wonder about itself. The stars did not happen far away from you. The stars are your makers and your kin, and the atoms in your hand once shone. When you look up at the night sky, it is not a vast, indifferent thing looking back. It is, in the truest possible sense, your own distant family, your own scattered substance, the larger body you were always part of. So let the worry about smallness lie down. You are small the way a single warm note is small within a vast piece of music, not lost in it, but needed by it, part of what makes it whole. You are small the way a single drop is small within the sea, which is to say not separate from the sea at all, but the sea itself in one of its countless forms, indistinguishable from the whole the moment it slips back in. The size of the universe does not push you to the margins. There are no margins, because there is no edge and no center. And where there are no margins, nothing can be marginal. Every place is the middle. Every part belongs. The immensity is not a cold hall in which you stand alone and unnoticed. It is more like a vast warm darkness in which you are one of uncountably many resting things, all made of the same ancient light, all carried by the same slow tide, all held in the same roomy house with no walls. There is a strange and lovely relief in this, the relief of being too small to have to carry the whole thing. You are not the architect of the cosmos. You are not asked to hold it up, to keep it turning, to make sure the stars stay lit. All of that vast machinery turns without you, has turned for ages before you, will turn for ages after, and your only task tonight, your only task at all, is to be one small carried thing, breathing slowly, letting the great wheel turn around you. You can set down the weight of being large enough to matter. Because you do not have to be large to matter, you matter the way every atom of a living hand matters, simply by being part of the warm and breathing whole. Rest in your smallness then, the way a child rests, untroubled, knowing that the keeping of the world is not its job tonight, that it may simply be held, and small, and safe, and let the great slow sighs of everything be a cradle rather than a chasm. You might wonder, drifting here, whether the cosmos has any directions at all, whether, since there is no up and no top and no center, the stargazers simply throw up their hands and say that one way is as good as another and leave it there. And the answer is a tender one, because we do use directions all the time. But every direction we use is a convenience we have agreed upon, a borrowed compass, never a property of the universe itself. When sailors and shepherds first mapped the night, they extended the Earth's own poles outward into the sky and called the result the celestial north and south, so that the stars seemed to wheel around a fixed point above the Earth's axis. But that point is not the top of the cosmos. It is only the place where our own planet's spin happens to point, and a world tilted differently would draw its poles across an entirely different patch of sky. We laid our local directions over the heavens like a fishing net thrown across deep water, and the net is useful, and the net helps us find our way back to the same faint star night after night. But the net is ours, not the sea's. The deep water beneath it has no grain, no preferred way, no current that all the others must bow to. There is, it turns out, one faint exception, and it is worth meeting because it sounds at first like it might be a top after all, and then, when you understand it, becomes one more gentle undoing. When the careful watchers measured that ancient afterglow, the even glow that fills the whole sky, they found it was almost perfectly the same in every direction, but not quite. On one side of the sky it was a whisper warmer, and on the opposite side a whisper cooler, by an amount so small you would never notice it with your eyes. For a moment this might seem like the cosmos finally pointing somewhere, finally choosing a way. But it is not the universe that is leaning. It is us. That faint warmth on one side and coolness on the other is the signature of our own motion, the Earth and the Sun, and the whole local family of galaxies, all drifting together in a particular direction through the sea of ancient light, so that the glow ahead of us is ever so slightly heaped up, and the glow behind us ever so slightly thinned. The way the note of a passing train sounds higher as it comes, and lower as it goes. The one direction we can read in the sky is not the universe's top. It is simply the way we, ourselves, happen to be swimming. And isn't that a fitting thing to find on a night like this? We went looking for a direction written into the cosmos, a true and final up, and the only leaning we found in all that even glow turned out to be the shadow of our own slow drift, our own being carried, the same carrying we let ourselves feel a little while ago. The universe did not point. We are the ones in motion, and the cosmos, smooth and even all around us, simply lets us move. Take away our drift, hold us still in the great sea of light, and the last faint trace of a preferred direction would smooth away entirely, leaving the sky the same warm temperature whichever way we turned. No hotter pole, no chosen axis, no top, no bottom, only the even glow in which we float. So even the one direction we can name dissolves, on inspection, into something about us rather than something about the heavens. This is our thread yet again, woven through the science as surely as through the feeling, every time we reach for a fixed direction in the cosmos, a true north of the whole of everything. The thing we grasp turns out to be local, borrowed, ours. The net we threw, the poles we extended, the drift we ride. The universe keeps answering our search for a top, the way the North Pole answers the search for a further north, not with a wall, not with a refusal, but with a quiet rearranging of the question until it has nowhere left to point and simply rests. And you can rest with it. You do not need a true up to lie down by. You never did. The directions you have used all your life, the ceiling overhead, the floor below, the way you turn to face a window, they are real enough for living, real enough to find your bed in the dark. And they ask nothing more of you tonight than to let your head grow heavy upon the pillow. In whatever direction that happens, beneath the even and unjudging sky, there is one more shape this wondering can take, perhaps the largest shape of all, and I want to hold it up to the light slowly because it frightens some people, and I would like, before you sleep, for it to stop being frightening. It is the possibility that the universe is not only without a top and without an edge, but without any limit whatsoever, that it simply goes on, and on, and on, never ending, truly infinite. We do not know for certain whether this is so. The cosmos may curve back upon itself like the surface of that apple, finite and unbounded, or it may genuinely have no end at all. But suppose for a moment that it is endless. The word infinite can land on the chest like a stone, can bring a kind of vertigo, a sense of falling forever, with nothing to catch you. So let us turn the stone over and find the other side, because there is another side, and it is soft. What does endlessness actually mean for you, lying here? It means you will never run out of room. It means there is no far wall rushing toward you in the dark, no cold edge waiting at the end of any journey, no final door that slams. It means that in whatever direction your thoughts wander as you fall asleep, they meet only more openness, more space, more gentle continuing, never a barrier, never a no. An infinite house is not a haunted one. It is simply a house you can never be trapped in. A house with no corner to be backed into, no locked room, no dead end. The terror we feel at infinity is, I think, mostly the terror of being lost in it, and you cannot be lost in something that has no edges to be far from, no center to be banished from. In an unbounded cosmos, every single place is as central as every other, which means you, here, in this bed, are at the very heart of the endlessness, exactly as much as anywhere could ever be. Infinity does not push you to its rim, because it has no rim. It folds you into its middle, and its middle is everywhere, and so its middle is here. And consider the quiet generosity of an endless cosmos. If space truly goes on without limit, then there is room enough for everything, room without end, room that no amount of stars or worlds or wonder could ever use up. There is no scarcity in infinity, no crowding, no competition for the last good place, because there is no last place and no shortage of good ones. The fear of running out, which presses on so much of waking life, running out of time, of room, of chances, finds nothing to hold on to in a cosmos that simply keeps giving more. Endlessness, felt rightly, is not a void that swallows, it is an abundance that never empties, a generosity built into the very shape of things, more room than could ever be needed, freely given, asking nothing back. So if the universe is infinite, let it be the most reassuring infinity there is. Not an endless fall, but an endless field. The kind of soft open meadow that rolls away to every horizon under a warm evening sky, where you could walk forever and never come to a fence, and where, precisely because you could walk forever, there is no longer any reason to walk at all. You can simply lie down in the grass of it. You can simply stop and rest, knowing that all that endless room is not somewhere you must explore or conquer or cross, but simply the spaciousness in which you are allowed to be still. The infinite is not asking you to traverse it. It is only making sure you will never ever be hemmed in. And that, at the close of a long day, is not a terror at all. It is the deepest permission to relax that the cosmos can offer. There is no edge coming for you. There is no end bearing down. There is nothing but room, and more tender room, in which to set your whole weight down and rest. And if instead the universe is finite, curving home upon itself like the surface of that apple, then it is finite without any wall. A cosmos you could never escape and never fall out of. A closed and roomy embrace that always returns you to more of itself. So that even here the news is kind, bounded but without a boundary, whole and complete and holding you within it, the way a sphere holds its own surface, with nothing left over and nothing left out. Whichever it is, endless field or boundless embrace, you are kept. There is no version of the cosmos in which you are spilled out over an edge. Every version keeps you. Let that certainty, the one thing we can promise whichever way the truth turns out, settle the last of the worry. You are kept. You are kept, however large the keeping is. Let us linger a little on that word outside, because it is the last hiding place of the idea of a top, and it dissolves as tenderly as all the rest. Even after we have let go of up, and edge, and center, the mind can still whisper, yes, but surely the universe must be inside something. Surely all this space sits within some larger room, the way a house sits in a field, the way a fishbowl sits on a table. And if there is a larger room, then perhaps that room has a top. And so the top of everything is just one level further out than we have been looking. It is a stubborn thought, and it deserves a slow and kind reply. The reply is this: space is not a thing inside the universe. Space is part of what the universe is. When we speak of the cosmos, we do not mean only the stars and the galaxies, the matter and the light. We mean space itself and time itself, the whole stage, as well as all the players upon it. So to ask what the universe sits inside of is to ask what space is surrounded by. And space is not the kind of thing that is surrounded, it is the surrounding. There is no larger emptiness holding the cosmos, because emptiness is itself a kind of space, and all the space there is already part of the all. The question quietly empties its own hands. It is not that there is an outside we cannot reach, it is that the word outside, when applied to everything that exists, simply has nothing left to mean. To stand at the supposed boundary of the cosmos and point beyond it is, one final time, to stand at the North Pole and point further north. The finger moves, but there is no there for it to indicate, and the pointing comes peacefully apart. I know this can feel like the mind reaching for a handhold and finding only smooth air. But notice that the smoothness is itself a kind of safety. If there is no outside, then there is nothing the universe could fall out of, nothing it could be threatened by, nothing lurking beyond the walls, because there are no walls and no beyond. We often imagine that an outside would be comforting, a larger room we could retreat to, a wider context that would explain everything. But an outside would also be an exposure, a thinness, an edge across which something could come. To have no outside is to be utterly whole, sealed not by a wall, but by completeness, the way a circle is closed, not because someone built a fence around it, but because it simply returns to itself with nothing missing. The cosmos is not a small, bright thing huddled in a vast, dark hall, vulnerable to whatever waits in the dark. The cosmos is all of it, the hall and the brightness together, with no dark hall outside the hall. There is nowhere for a fear to come from. There is no door for the cold to slip under. So when the title of tonight's Wondering asks what sits at the very top of the universe, we can finally feel the full shape of the answer and feel how peaceful it is. There is no top, because up belongs to the ground. There is no furthest place, because the edge belongs to the watcher. There is no middle seat, because the center is everywhere. There is no preferred direction, because the ancient glow is even all around. There is no outside, because space is the surrounding, and not the surrounded. Everywhere you point, the question gently undoes itself and hands you back more room. And this is not the cosmos withholding an answer. It is the cosmos giving the kindest answer there is, which is that there is no high place you have failed to reach, no summit you must still climb, no ceiling pressing down, no exit you are being herded toward. There is only the open all, the same in every direction, complete in itself, holding you in its midst, with no rim to fall from and no top to fear. Let your body hear that, beneath the thinking. There is nothing above you that you have not climbed to. There is nothing beyond you that you are missing out on. There is no further you need to go. You have arrived simply by being here at the only place there is, which is everywhere, which is here. And here, the great even cosmos asks nothing of you at all but to grow heavier and slower and warmer, and to let the wondering itself dissolve the way the top dissolved into more room to rest. We have wondered about the top in space all night, and you may have noticed that all our worry about height and edge and direction has been a worry about where. But there is another way the mind reaches for a top, and it is worth meeting gently before we begin our slow descent toward sleep, because it can keep a person awake just as surely. It is the reaching after when, the wish to stand at the very beginning of time and ask what came before it, or to stand at the far end of the future and ask what comes after. We treat time, too, as if it were a kind of staircase, with a bottom step where everything started and a top step where everything will end, and we strain to see past both, to find the floor beneath the first moment and the ceiling above the last. And time, it turns out, answers the same way space does, with the same tender dissolving of the question. Consider the beginning. We spoke of the afterglow, the oldest light, the embers of the dawn, and it is true that the universe as we know it had a beginning, a first hot, dense moment from which all the swelling and cooling and forming of stars unfolded. And so the mind asks, naturally, what came before that first moment, what the cosmos was doing in the long ages before it began. But here is the quiet surprise. Time itself appears to have begun with the universe, the way the rooms of a house begin with the house. To ask what came before the first moment may be like asking what lies north of the North Pole, only now in time rather than space. The before simply runs out of road, not because something blocks it, but because there is no earlier for it to point to. The beginning is not a step with a floor beneath it, that we are forbidden to see. It is the place where the very idea of beneath comes peacefully to an end. There may be nothing before the beginning, in the same way there is nothing north of north, and that nothing is not a void you could fall into. It is simply the gentle limit of the question itself. And consider the future, the far end, the last step we imagine at the top of time's staircase. The cosmos, as best we can tell, is not racing toward a wall there either. It is widening, slowly, and cooling, slowly, the stars forming and shining, and one day burning low across spans of time so enormous that every word we have for long falls hopelessly short. There is no looming final moment bearing down on tonight, no ceiling of time pressing close above your pillow. There is only more time, opening ahead the way space opens around, an unhurried unrolling so vast that the entire span of human history, every empire and every song and every life ever lived, is a single soft breath near the very start of it. You are not living near the end of things. You are living near the beginning of an almost endless quiet afternoon, and there is time, and more time, more than could ever be spent, stretching peacefully ahead. So time, like space, offers no top and no bottom you must brace against, only the present moment, this one, the one you are breathing right now, set like a still pool between an unreachable before and an unhurried after, neither of which is rushing at you, neither of which asks anything of you tonight. The past is gathered up and finished, and cannot be undone or improved by any worry, and the future is so vast and so slow that nothing it holds needs to be met this very night. There is only now, only this breath, only the weight of you in the bed, and the slow tide of the air going in and out. You do not have to stand guard at the edges of time. The edges, like all the others we have looked for, come apart in the hand the moment you reach them, and leave you here, in the one safe place there has ever been, which is the present, soft and wide and asking nothing, the only moment you were ever meant to rest in. It can seem, after all this wondering about horizons and infinities and the swelling of space, as though the cosmos is a far-off thing, a subject for telescopes and long nights on cold mountaintops, something out there beyond the window and the roof. But I want to bring it back into the room with you now, slowly, because the truth is that everything we have spoken of is here, in this room, in this bed, touching you at every point. You are not looking at the universe from the outside. You are lying down inside it. The same space that stretches between the galaxies is the space between your hand and the wall. The same expansion that carries the far suns apart is at work, almost immeasurably faintly, in the air above your blanket, though it is far too slow and far too gentle ever to disturb a single breath. You do not have to travel to reach the cosmos. You are already as deep inside it as anything has ever been. Feel the air in the room. It is part of the all. The faint warmth of it, the small sounds settling at the edges of hearing, the dark that lies easy over everything. All of it is the cosmos, in this one quiet pocket, doing what the cosmos does everywhere, which is mostly to be calm and roomy and slow. The light that may be coming faintly through the curtain, the street lamp's glow, or the pale wash of the moon, is made of the same stuff as the oldest light there is, the very afterglow we spoke of, only younger and nearer. The atoms in the pillow beneath your head were forged in stars, exactly as the atoms in you were, so that when your cheek rests against it, it is starlight resting against starlight, the cosmos cradling the cosmos, ancient matter holding ancient matter through the long calm of the night. There is nothing in this room that is not part of the great whole, And so there is nowhere in this room you could be that is not fully, completely home. And the night sky, when you picture it now, need not be a vast cold distance you are excluded from. Picture it instead as the ceiling of the one room you live in, the room with no walls, the room that is everywhere. Those scattered stars are the far corners of your own house, lamps left burning in distant chambers of the same dwelling you are lying in tonight. You do not have to reach them. They are not somewhere you have failed to go. They are simply the further reaches of the home you already occupy, glowing softly at the edge of sight to remind you how large and how warm and how full of light your house truly is. When you look up, you are not looking out and away. You are looking around at more of where you already are, the way a child half asleep might gaze across a darkened bedroom at the faint shapes of familiar things and feel, in seeing them, only how safe the room is, how known, how kept. So let the bigness come home. Let it stop being a far thing and become a near thing, a held thing, the very room around your resting body. The cosmos with no top and no edge and no center is not somewhere else. It is here, pressing softly all around you, in the air, in the dark, in the warmth of the bed, in the slow rise and fall of your own chest, which is itself a small piece of the universe breathing. You are not a watcher peering at the heavens through a keyhole. You are the heavens, gathered into a quiet shape, lying down for the night in one of your own countless rooms, with all the rest of yourself glowing softly around you, and nothing, anywhere, asking you to be more than this, one warm, carried, breathing part of the whole, at rest in the middle of everything, which is here, which is you. There is a thought I find especially comforting in the deep part of the night, and it follows naturally from everything we have wondered, so let us rest in it for a while. If the universe is the same in every direction, even and roomy and full of countless suns, then it is very likely that you are not the only one lying awake somewhere beneath it, wondering, on worlds we will never see. Circling stars whose light is still crossing the dark toward us and will not arrive for ages, there may be other watchers, other quiet minds, looking up at their own night skies and asking, in their own way, the very question we have turned over tonight. What sits at the top of all this? Where does it end? Where do I stand within it? And the cosmos, being the same for them as for us, hands them the same tender answer it has handed us. No top, no edge, no center, only more room, only the even glow, only the gentle dissolving of the question into peace. Imagine them, without any strain, simply as company. Somewhere, perhaps, a creature is settling down to rest as its own sun goes down, beneath a sky scattered with stars it has its own names for, carried on its own spinning world around its own slow fire, made of the same star-forged atoms as you, breathing in and out as you are. You will never meet. You do not need to. It is enough to know that the wondering you are doing tonight is, in a sense, a thing the universe does everywhere, through every mind it manages to grow, and that you are part of a vast and scattered and silent fellowship of watchers, each one small, each one carried, each one at the center of their own sky, all of you held in the same roomy dark. You are not the lone keeper of this question. The cosmos has been asking itself this question through countless eyes for ages, and tonight you get to ask it too, and then, like all the others, to let it go and sleep. And here is the loveliest part of that company. You do not have to do anything for them, and they do not have to do anything for you. There is no message to send, no distance to cross, no loneliness to fix. The comfort is simply in the knowing that whatever you are feeling beneath the vastness tonight, the smallness, the wonder, the easy awe, the slow surrender into rest, you are feeling it alongside an uncountable number of other resting things, near and unimaginably far, all of you tucked into the same enormous, even, generous cosmos. The universe is not an empty stage with a single lonely watcher upon it. It is, as far as we can tell from its sameness in every direction, a place built to grow watchers. A place where matter again and again gathers itself into minds that can look up and wonder, so that the cosmos is forever quietly waking and wondering and going back to sleep in 100 billion places at once. And you, here in this bed, are one of those places. The universe is wondering through you what sits at its top, and then, through you, it is letting the wondering soften, and closing its eyes, and resting, the way it has rested through every watcher who ever grew weary and lay down beneath it. So you are in good company, the best and oldest company there is, the company of everything that has ever looked up and felt held by the size of the sky. Let that fellowship be like a faint warmth around you, the sense of countless others breathing slow somewhere in the dark, none of them needing you, all of them keeping you the way fellow travelers keep one another, simply by sharing the road. You can let the question go now, knowing it will be carried on by other watchers when you set it down, knowing it is safe, knowing it does not depend on you to stay awake, and hold it. The cosmos will keep wondering about itself long after you have drifted off. Tonight, you may simply be one of the ones who rests. I want to say something tender now about the kind of answer we have been finding all night, because it is an unusual kind, and it is worth understanding so it can rest you rather than nag at you. We came in with a clear, sharp question: what sits at the very top of the universe? And we have not answered it the way questions are usually answered, with a fact, a name, a thing you could write down and carry away. Instead, again and again, the question has come apart in our hands. Every time we reached for the top, the reaching itself revealed that there was nothing there to grasp, that the word had quietly lost its footing. And it would be easy to feel cheated by this, as though the cosmos had refused to tell us its secret. But I think it is the opposite. I think the question undoing itself is the secret, and it is the most peaceful secret there is. Some questions are like locked doors, and the answer is the key that opens them. But some questions are like a knot you have been pulling tight all your life, and the answer is simply the moment your fingers go loose and the knot falls open of its own accord. The question of the top is the second kind. You do not get past it by climbing higher. You get past it by letting your grip relax until you notice there was never a wall to climb. And this is exactly like the oldest version of the puzzle, the one we have returned to all night. The question of what lies north of the North Pole. You can stand at the top of the world and strain northward forever and find nothing, or you can simply notice, with a small, easy breath of relief, that the question was pointing at a place that does not exist, and that the not existing of it is not a lack, but a freedom. There is no further north to fail to reach. There is no top to fall short of. The pressure you felt was the pressure of a question that was quietly impossible, and the moment you see that, the pressure simply lifts. Think of how much of waking life is spent straining after tops of one kind or another, the next rung, the higher place, the summit just past the one you are standing on. The sense that somewhere above your current position is the real arrival, the true top, where things will finally be settled. The cosmos, in its even and roomy way, offers a different teaching tonight, and offers it not as a sermon, but as a simple fact about how everything is built. There is no top. Not in space, not in time, not in the great arrangement of things. There is only more openness in every direction, the same warmth all around, and the quiet invitation to stop climbing and rest exactly where you already are. The universe is not a ladder with a prize at the top. It is a wide and even field with no high end, and you are standing in the best part of it, which is wherever you happen to be standing. Because every part is the best part. Because there is no top against which any part could be measured and found lower. So let the question be answered the way the cosmos answers it, not with a fact you must hold, but with a loosening you can feel. There is nothing at the top of the universe, and that nothing is the softest, roomiest, most welcoming nothing imaginable. Because it means there is nothing above you weighing down, nothing you have failed to reach, nothing left to climb. The strain of the question, which you may have carried in some form for a very long time, the low background ache of wondering whether you are high enough, far enough, central enough, you can set it down, because the universe itself has no top and feels no such ache, and you are made of the universe, and you are allowed to rest as evenly and as completely as the cosmos does between its stars. The knot is open. The door was never locked because there was never a wall. There is only the wide, easy room, and you, loose-handed at last, resting in the middle of it. Let us take one slow journey together now, an easy drifting outward, and then an easy returning, just to feel in the body everything the mind has come to understand. Begin here, with you in the bed, the weight of you held by the mattress, the warmth of you held by the covers. Now let your awareness rise, without leaving the bed, the way a thought rises, up through the ceiling, up through the roof, until you can see the dark shape of the building you rest in, and the street, and the scattered lamps, and the other rooms where others lie sleeping. There is no rush in this. You are only floating up to look, the way you might rise on your toes to see over a low wall, and then you keep rising, easily, until the whole sleeping town lies beneath you, like a handful of embers in the dark, and you feel no fear, only the wide quiet and the slow lift. Keep rising. The land spreads out, the coastlines curve into view, the great dark seas, the lights of cities strung like beads along the edges of the continents, and still there is no top you are rising toward, only more room opening above and around. The whole round Earth comes into view, a single blue and white world turning slowly in the dark, and you can see now what we spoke of at the very beginning of the night, that every up on that turning world points a different way, that the people sleeping on the far side have their heads pointed opposite to yours and are no more upside down than you are, that there is no true up for the whole planet, only the soft outward in every direction, and you are still being carried, even now, the world turning beneath your gaze, sweeping its sleepers gently toward the dawn. Keep drifting out, easily. The Earth grows small, a pale dot, and then the sun is one bright point among its planets, and then the sun itself shrinks into the great slow wheel of the galaxy, a vast pinwheel of countless stars turning in the dark, and you are somewhere out along one of its arms, one faint grain of light among hundreds of billions, and still nothing presses down. Still there is no ceiling, only more openness. The galaxy joins its neighbors, a small gathering of star islands, and that gathering joins greater gatherings, threads and sheets of galaxies strung across the dark like dew on a vast web, more than the mind can hold. And even here, At the very largest scale we can see, the cosmos is even. The same in every direction. No top, no edge, no heaped up corner. Only the great calm sameness rolling away past the horizon of sight in every direction at once. And now you reach the limit of the visible, the rim of your own bowl of ancient light, and you might brace for an edge, but there is none. Of course there is none. There is only the place where the light has not yet had time to arrive, with more cosmos surely beyond it, more of the same even room, more galaxies, more watchers, more openness without end. There is no wall to press your hand against. There is no top to stand upon. There is only the gentle understanding, felt now in the whole body, that you could drift outward forever and meet only more home. And so, having seen that there is nowhere further you need to go, you let yourself sink back, easily, the way you rose, the great web drawing close into a single galaxy, the galaxy into a single sun, the sun into a single turning world, the world into a single sleeping town, the town into a single dark building, a single room, a single bed, a single resting body, breathing slow. You went out to the very edge of everything, and you found no top, and you came home, and home was here all along. And here is where you will stay now, sinking, settling, as the long night gathers you in. There is one more tenderness hidden in all of this, and it is perhaps the deepest, so let us rest in it as the night grows late. We have spoken so much of motion, the turning of the world, the long loop around the sun, the great arc around the galaxy, the swelling of all of space, the drift that warms one side of the ancient sky. The cosmos is in ceaseless motion, every part of it carried, nothing truly fixed, no still post in all of space to which anything is moored. And yet here, you lie, perfectly still. How can both be true at once? How can you be hurtling through the dark in a dozen layered ways and feel nothing but the quiet weight of rest? The answer is one of the most beautiful in all of physics, and it is a comfort built into the very grain of things. There is no special true stillness in the universe, no fixed background against which all motion is measured, no one place that is genuinely at rest while everything else rushes by. Motion is always relative. It is always motion with respect to something else. And this means that your stillness is just as real as all that hurtling. With respect to your bed, with respect to the room, with respect to the slow dark around you, you are completely at rest, and nothing in all the cosmos can say you are wrong. You are not secretly moving while pretending to be still. You are genuinely, fully at rest in your own frame. And the great motions we spoke of are simply your stillness seen from somewhere else. Both are true. The hurtling and the rest are the same thing, looked at from different places, and you get to choose, tonight, to live in the frame where you are perfectly, completely still. Think of how kind that is. You do not have to reconcile the speed with the calm. You do not have to feel the motion in order for it to be real. And you do not have to deny the rest in order for it to be true. You can lie here as still as a stone at the bottom of a deep pool, utterly at rest, and at the very same moment be carried through the cosmos at speeds beyond imagining. And there is no contradiction, no tension, nothing for the mind to resolve. The universe holds both for you. It lets you be still and carried at once, the way a sleeping child in a moving car is both rushing down the highway and completely at peace, motionless in the seat, dreaming, going nowhere and everywhere together, kept safe by the very motion they cannot feel. So you do not have to be still by stopping the world. The world will not stop, and it does not need to. You are already still, in the only frame that matters tonight, the frame centered on your own resting body, And within that frame, the whole cosmos can wheel and swell and drift as much as it likes while you lie unmoved at the heart of it. Let the great motions go on without you. They have gone on through every night you have ever slept, carrying you faithfully while you noticed nothing. And they will carry you faithfully tonight. Your only task is the stillness, and the stillness is already done, already yours, already complete. You are the calm point. You are the place where all that motion comes, at last, to rest. Let the universe move. You may stay exactly where you are. And if, somewhere in the drowsy back of the mind, there is still a small voice that wishes for certainty, that wishes we could say for sure whether the cosmos is finite or endless, whether it curves home or runs on forever, what truly lies past the last light we can see, let us make peace with that voice too, tenderly, before we let the night close over us. Because the truth is that there is a great deal we do not know about the universe, vast stretches of it that lie beyond every instrument we have built and may lie beyond them always, and tonight that is not a failure to grieve, but a softness to sink into. You are allowed to fall asleep inside a mystery. In fact, you always have. You have never once known everything about the night you were sleeping into, and you have slept anyway, safely, countless times. There is a particular relief in laying down the wish to have it all settled. The cosmos does not require you to understand it in order to hold you. The earth turned beneath your bed for every night of your childhood, while you understood nothing of its turning, and it held you just the same. The stars forged the atoms of your body ages before anyone knew that stars could do such a thing, and the atoms held together just the same. You do not have to comprehend the whole to belong to it, any more than a wave must understand the sea to be carried by it, any more than a sleeping child must understand the house to be safe within its walls. Knowing is a daylight pleasure, a thing for the bright hours, when the mind is fresh and likes to climb. The night asks something different of you, something easier, not to know, but to trust, not to solve, but to rest, not to reach the bottom of the mystery, but to lie down upon its surface and let it bear your weight. So let the unanswered parts of tonight's wondering stay unanswered, and let that be a comfort rather than an itch. We do not know what lies past the edge of the visible, and we do not need to. Not tonight, perhaps not ever, in order to sleep peacefully beneath it. The mystery is not a danger leaning over your bed. It is more like the dark itself, soft and roomy and kind, the very thing that makes sleep possible. If everything were known, if every question were closed, and every door shut and labeled, the cosmos might feel smaller, more finished, more like a thing you had used up. Instead, it stays open, endlessly open, with more to wonder about than any mind could exhaust, and that openness is the same openness we have felt all night. No top to reach, no edge to bump, no final answer to arrive at and be done with, only more room, only more depth, only more tender unknowing to rest your weight upon. Lay the wish to know it all beside the wish to reach the top, and let them both go together, and feel how much lighter you are without them. You came to this wondering tonight with a question, and you may leave it with the question still gently open. And that is exactly as it should be. The best questions are not the ones that close, they are the ones that open a room you can lie down in. This has been such a question, and this is such a room. Stay in it now. Let the not knowing be a wide dark meadow under a vast sky, the kind of place where you do not need a map, because there is nowhere you have to be. There is nothing more to figure out tonight. There is only the breath, and the weight, and the warm unknowing, and the slow, deepening pull of sleep. Notice, as we drift toward the close, how much of the cosmos is darkness, and how friendly that darkness turns out to be. When we picture the universe, we tend to picture the stars, the bright scattered points, the glowing wheels of the galaxies. But the truth is that the overwhelming most of the cosmos is dark, vast tracts of restful black between the rare and tiny sparks. So that if you could take in the whole of it at once, it would appear not as a blaze of light, but as an enormous, tranquil darkness, with here and there a faint ember glowing. The night sky you see is mostly empty between the stars, and that emptiness is not a lack, not a loneliness, but the very roominess we have praised all night, the openness that lets everything rest without crowding. The cosmos is a dark and roomy place, and you were made by it, and so it should be no surprise that darkness suits you, that the dark of your room tonight feels less like an absence of something and more like the natural color of rest. We are taught, somewhere young, to be wary of the dark, and there are reasons for that in the small dangers of the world. But the great dark, the cosmic dark, the dark between the stars and the dark behind your closed eyes, is not that kind of dark. It is the older kind. The kind that came first, the kind the light is scattered thinly within, rather than the kind that swallows the light. It is the dark a seed rests in before it grows. The dark the unborn rest in. The dark that every creature returns to gratefully each night to be mended. To close your eyes now is to join the cosmos in its natural state, to let your small darkness merge with the great darkness, restful and roomy and without end, with the faint warmth of distant suns scattered thinly through it, like embers banked for the night. There is nothing in that dark that wishes you ill. It is the same dark that holds the galaxies in their slow turning, and it holds you exactly as tenderly, exactly as patiently, asking nothing, only making room. So let the darkness of the room be a friend tonight, a piece of the same vast peaceful dark that fills the cosmos between its stars. Let it settle over you the way the night settles over a sleeping field, the way the deep settles over the floor of the sea. You do not have to keep watch. You do not have to hold a light against it. The dark is not the absence of safety. For a creature lying warm and held in its own bed, the dark is the very shape of safety, the wide, soft roominess in which all weary things lie down. The universe is mostly this calm, this dark, this open quiet. And you are made of the universe, and so this too is what you are mostly made for. Sink into the dark the way the stars are sunk into it, scattered and small and perfectly at home, and let it be the last and largest of all the roomy things that hold you tonight. Before we gather all of this up and let it carry you down into sleep, let us come all the way back from the edge of the visible cosmos to the smallest and nearest motion there is, your own breath. We have followed the great rhythms tonight, the turning and the looping and the swelling, the long, slow pulses of a universe that has no top and no edge and no center. And here, in your chest, is a small rhythm that belongs to the very same cosmos, the rising and falling of your breath, the oldest tide you carry. Let your attention rest on it now, easily, the way you might rest your gaze on the slow lift and fall of water at the shore. The breath comes in, unhurried, and the breath goes out, even slower, and there is nothing you need to do to make it happen. It carries itself, the way the planets carry themselves, the way the galaxies carry themselves, faithfully, without your effort. And notice that the breath, like the cosmos, has no top either. You breathe in, and the in-breath rises to its fullness, and rather than reaching a hard ceiling, it simply turns, softly, and becomes the out-breath, the way the question of the top simply turns and becomes more room. There is no sharp summit to the breath, no rung you climb to and cling to. There is only the smooth turning at the top of the inhale, the easy giving over into the exhale, the same gentle dissolving of a peak into openness that we have found everywhere we looked tonight. Let each breath teach the lesson again, in miniature, in the body, below all thinking. Rise and turn, and let go. Rise and turn, and let go. There is no top to hold at the height of the breath. There is only the turning, and the release, and the wide, easy room of the next breath, waiting beneath it. So let your breathing carry the whole night now. With each slow breath, let a little more of the wondering settle and quiet. Breathe in the vastness, the roominess, the openness in every direction, and breathe out the last of the straining, the reaching, the wish for a top to stand on. Breathe in the company of countless watchers resting beneath the same even sky, and breathe out the loneliness that was never really true. Breathe in the star-forged warmth of your own body, kin to all the suns, and breathe out the small cold fear of being lost in something large. With every breath you are doing what the cosmos does, opening, turning, letting go. And with every breath you sink a little deeper into the bed, a little deeper into the dark, a little deeper into the roomy, topless, edgeless, centerless piece of a universe that has never once needed you to climb and has only ever asked you, in its vast even patience, to rest. And so you rest. The breath rises and turns and falls. The room holds you, and the dark holds the room, and the cosmos holds the dark. Ring within ring within ring, all the way out to the faint last light, and all the way in to the small warm tide in your chest, with you at the center of all of it, which is everywhere, which is here, which is now, which is enough. There is a last thought I would like to leave with you before we draw the night to its close, and it is perhaps the most remarkable of all. Though it is so simple, it can slip right past us. For the better part of the universe's long life, in all that vast roomy dark, there was no one to wonder about any of it. The galaxies turned, the stars formed and shone and faded. The great even glow cooled across the ages, and for the longest time the cosmos held no eyes to see itself, no mind to ask where its top might be, no heart to be eased by the answer. And then, slowly, on at least one small turning world, and very likely on many, the star-forged matter gathered itself into shapes that could look up. The universe grew watchers. The cosmos, after ages of being unwitnessed, opened a few small windows and began, faintly, to know itself. And tonight, lying here, you are one of those windows. Through you, this evening, the universe has wondered about its own shape, has asked after its own summit, has felt the roomy peace of having no edge to fall from. That is not a small thing. That is one of the rarest and most precious things there is. So if ever the size of it all has made you feel like a mere onlooker, a small creature peering at a show that does not concern you, let this turn the feeling over one last time. You are not outside the cosmos looking in. You are the way a patch of the cosmos has come, for a little while, to look around at itself, to marvel, to grow heavy with wonder, and then with rest. The universe is not indifferent to you. Because you are not separate enough from it for indifference to mean anything, you are it, the part of it that woke up tonight and wondered about its top and found, instead of a ceiling, a tenderness. When you feel awe at the stars, that is the cosmos feeling awe at itself through your eyes. When you feel held by the roomy dark, that is the cosmos comforting itself through your heart. You are how the universe gets to experience its own vast peaceful evenness from the inside, one quiet night at a time. And what a thing to do with such a gift. On a night like this, simply to rest within it. You do not have to make anything of being a window the cosmos sees through. You do not have to justify it or earn it or stay awake to honor it. The most fitting thing you can do with the wonder, once it has filled you, is to let it carry you down into sleep, the way a wave that has risen to its fullness does not cling to its height, but turns and returns to the sea. The universe wandered through you tonight, and now the universe will rest through you. And both are holy. Both are enough, and the resting needs no more effort than the wandering did. You opened a window, and you looked out at a cosmos with no top and no edge and no center, and you found it roomy and even and kind, and now you may let the window grow heavy, and the lids come down, and the looking turn to dreaming. Hold that, lightly, as the last warm thought. You are the universe at rest, knowing itself by resting. There is no higher purpose to climb toward than this, no summit of meaning above the simple fact of being a piece of the cosmos that gets to lie down warm and safe and wonder and then sleep. The top you might once have searched for, the highest place, the final meaning waiting somewhere overhead, it dissolves here too, the way it dissolved everywhere else tonight, and leaves behind only this, that you are already in the most central place there is, doing the most fitting thing there is, which is to rest, deeply and without reservation, as one beloved breathing part of an endless, edgeless, topless, tender whole. Tonight has been about a single tender question and the roomy peace we found inside it. Tonight has been about the word up and how it belongs to the ground beneath us rather than to the heavens above us, so that lifting away from the ground, the top we were climbing toward simply ceased to be. Tonight has been about the horizon of all we can see, the great faint bowl of ancient light that travels with each of us wherever we stand, centered on every watcher, sharing no single edge. Tonight has been about a cosmos with no center, the rising dough in which every grain feels itself the middle, and every grain is right, and none is favored. Tonight has been about a cosmos with no edge, curving home upon itself or opening forever, but either way with no wall to be cornered against. Tonight has been about expansion, the swelling of space that carries every direction into every other until the very idea of an outward melts away. Tonight has been about the long patient history of looking, from Copernicus quietly setting the Earth adrift among the planets, to Hubble finding the galaxies fleeing in every direction, to two listeners hearing the even afterglow of the dawn, the same warmth whichever way they turned. And tonight has been about you, lying here, made of starlight, carried through the dark, perfectly at rest in the one frame that matters, at home in the middle of everything. There is no top to the universe. Let those words be 3 soft stones dropped one by one into still water. There is no top to the universe, and so there is nothing above you weighing down. There is no top to the universe, and so there is nothing higher you have failed to reach. There is no top to the universe, and so there is nowhere left to climb. And you may set the climbing down, all of it, and stay exactly where you are. You are held. You are held by the bed, and the bed by the dark, and the dark by the cosmos. You are held. The same patience that keeps the galaxies turning keeps you here tonight. You are held exactly as you are, with nothing asked of you, by a universe so roomy it could never run out of place for you to rest. And none of this needs anything from you tonight. You do not have to remember a single fact of it. You do not have to understand the swelling of space, or the curving of the cosmos, or the even glow of the oldest light. You do not have to reach any conclusion or carry any of it into the morning. It was only ever here to ease you towards sleep, like warm water moving past, and now it has done its work, and you may let all of it dissolve, the way the top dissolved, the way the edge dissolved, the way the question itself came peacefully apart in your hands and left you with more room to rest. If you would like, there is another hushed exploration waiting on the screen for you. Another slow wandering ready to carry you deeper into the night, should you wish it. You do not need to reach for it, or choose it, or do anything at all. Let it begin on its own. In a little while, drifting in like the next slow breath after this one, so that the piece simply continues without a seam, and you need never surface to find it. And as you drift, here is one small thing to wonder, with no need to answer it now, a thought to leave turning faintly as you fall. If the universe has no top, and no edge, and no center, where do you feel its middle to be tonight? And isn't it, somehow, wherever you happen to be lying right now? Let that float there, unanswered, like a faint star at the edge of sight, asking nothing, simply keeping you quiet company as you go. Now let the body grow heavy, one last easing. Let the weight of your legs sink into the mattress. Let your hips and your back give themselves fully to whatever holds them. Let your shoulders settle away from your ears. Let your arms grow loose and heavy. Let your hands unfold. Let the small muscles of your face go slack, the brow smoothing, the jaw loosening, the eyes resting heavy behind their lids. Let the breath slow of its own accord, in and turning and out, with no top to hold and nothing to do. You are one warm, carried, breathing part of a universe with no top to climb, at rest in the middle of everything, which is here. There is nowhere else to go. There is nothing left to reach. There is only this roomy dark, and the slow tide of your breath, and the deep, easy, welcome pull of sleep drawing you gently down and down and down. Rest now. You are home. You always were. Sleep well.